Grace and peace, everybody. We are back. You didn't see a thumbnail. You didn't see a title because I got into the booth. I was looking through, checking the traps, and I found something that I was not prepared for. So I wasn't even ready to give my editor the information to give me a thumbnail. So, but you did see a title, though. You did see a description. What are we talking about? Fani Willis has been removed from the Trump RICO trial. And this is big business because this has been going on forever and a Tuesday, it seems like. And I guess, I don't know, they're trying to clear the traps for other things moving on. But the Georgia Supreme Court, let's go ahead and bring this in. Let's talk about it because Georgia Supreme Court has decided that, you know what? Yeah, Fani, them shenanigans you had going on, you and Nate Dogg, what y'all had going on. Yeah, we're not going to interrupt with that. All right, Georgia Supreme Court declines to hear Fani Willis' appeal of her removal from the Trump election case. It doesn't mean that the case is cooked. It doesn't mean that somebody else can't pick up the ball, and we'll actually talk about that in a second. What it does mean, however, is that Fani Willis will not be involved in it, and not just Fani Willis, but her whole department, her whole office. Everybody, as they like to say, has been removed from it. That's humongous. That is absolutely insane. But I mean, we kind of thought, we kind of anticipated this was going to eventually happen when the initial judge didn't kick her off the trial. We kind of thought he's just punting and let somebody else take the heat for it. Judge McAfee, of course, wanted somebody else to take the heat for it. And I think that's ultimately what has happened. Now the Georgia Supremes have said, yeah, we're going to leave this alone. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's go. Even if a new prosecutor wants to continue the path charted by Willis, it seems unlikely that Trump could be prosecuted now that he is a sitting president. And remember, Fani said she was going to sit and wait. Fani said she was going to be sitting outside 1600 for the last day that Trump is president to come on down on him. Well, ma'am, that's not going to be the case. Let's keep it going. And we know that this happened on just a few minutes ago, actually, at 9:22. Hold on one hot second. All right. Let's keep it dancing. Georgia's highest court has declined to consider Fulton County DA's Fani Willis's appeal of her removal from the Georgia election interference case against Donald Trump and others, citing an appearance of impropriety, that mendacity, the odor of mendacity created by the romantic relationship between that Willis had with special prosecutor Nathan Wade, whom she had hired to lead the case in the Georgia Court of Appeals in December, ruled that Willis and her office could not continue to prosecute the case. Now, the Court of Appeals said that she could not. She rolled it up to the Georgia Supremes. The Georgia Supremes said, nah, we're going to just stick with what the Court of Appeals, and we'll actually read the ruling in a second. Willis's misconduct during the investigation and prosecution of President Trump was egregious, and she deserved nothing less than disqualification. Steve Sadow, Trump's attorney in the Georgia case, said in a statement, shout out to Steve Sadow. Willis said she disagreed with the court's decision, but would direct her office to make the case file and evidence available to the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia so it can appoint a new prosecutor to replace her. So this is why I said that the case isn't done for dunzos, as the kids would say, because the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia can pass this to a DA in another area, like let's say, for example, Athens, Georgia, where the University of Georgia Go Dogs is, or down in Savannah, Georgia, or in Macon. I don't think Macon's too close. Maybe they could do Macon. They could actually, maybe they could give it to the prosecutor here in Cobb County. I live in Cobb County. They could give it to the prosecutor there and see if they want to run with it. I don't know. And the amount of money that's going to go into this and resources that are going to have to tackle this, I just don't think anybody wants it. I'm not trying to be funny. Just from when we were discussing it last summer, when we were reading through it every day and checking out the trial every day and such of that nature, I just don't think anybody really has money is tight. You know what I'm saying? We still paying these doggone magnum cum laude gas prices. Hey, Trump, what happened with that? Magnum cum laude gas prices. Money is coming. Money is getting a little funny. And so I don't know if people really have the stomach for a multi-million-dollar prosecution of a former president from what'll be 8 years ago. I don't think people want it, in my opinion. But let's keep going. I hope that whoever is assigned to handle the case will have the courage to do what the evidence and the law demand, Willis said in an emailed statement. Okay. But what if they look at it and they don't see it like you? You know, Fani, what if they look at it and say, hey, what in the world? What is this you didn't put on my shoulder? What is this you didn't put on my desk? This is crazy. Because remember, the law and the evidence, according to Fani Willis, would have brought justice in that YSL trial. And we saw what happened there. Maybe, just maybe, Willis, it's not exactly what you think it is. Willis in January asked the Georgia Supreme Court to review the ruling that the High Court on Tuesday declined in a 4-3 decision to take up the case. One judge didn't participate and one judge was disqualified. Okay. That means it will be up to the prosecuting attorney's counsel to find another prosecutor to take the case. That person could continue on the track that Willis had taken, decide to pursue only some charges or dismiss the case altogether. It could be difficult to find a prosecutor willing to take the case given its complex nature and the resources required. That's what I'm saying. Like this, again, I live here in Georgia. I'm not a law student or anything of that nature, but just listening to it, it does sound like it was a cobbled mess. It just seemed like there was a lot of moving parts and it seemed like it was very pricey, very, very resource heavy. I don't see anybody doing it, but we'll find out. Even if a new prosecutor wants to continue the path charted by Willis, it seems unlikely that Trump could be prosecuted now that he's a sitting president. But there are 14 other defendants who still face charges in the case. A grand jury in Atlanta indicted Trump and 18 others in August 2023, using the state's anti-racketeering law to accuse them of participating in a wide-ranging scheme of illegally trying to overturn Trump's narrow 2020 presidential election loss to Democrat Joe Biden in Georgia. The alleged scheme included Trump calling Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, urging him to help find enough votes to beat Biden. 4 people have pled guilty. The Georgia case was one of 4 criminal cases brought in 2023 against Trump. Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith abandoned 2 federal prosecutions after Trump won the November election. In his hush money case in New York, Trump was convicted of 34 counts, but received a sentence of no punishment. Willis had asked Georgia's High Court to consider whether the lower appeals court was wrong in disqualifying her based solely upon an appearance of impropriety and absent of finding of any actual conflict of interest or forensic misconduct. She also asked the state Supreme Court to weigh whether the Court of Appeals erred in substituting the trial court's discretion with its own in this case. No Georgia court has ever disqualified a district attorney for the mere appearance of impropriety without the existence of an actual conflict of interest. Willis filing says, well, guess what, Fani? They have now. So it goes without saying, boo. It's happened. We're in a world of first time evers. And now this is a first time. So go on with your bad self. And no Georgia court has ever reversed a trial court's order declining to disqualify a prosecutor based solely on an appearance of impropriety. Well, guess what? Today's a new day. Lawyers for Trump had argued in a court filing that the lower appeals court got it right and that Willis disqualification is mandated because it is the only remedy that could purge the taint of impropriety. I mean, where's the lie? I don't know. I don't see the lie. Let's see if there's any comments. There's no comments here. So shout out to Politico. This article is actually in the description If you want to check it out for yourself, if I missed anything, please let me know. But I do want to look at very quickly. We don't have to be super long on this, but the actual, pull this over here so I can read it over here. All right, here is the actual motion. So let's go ahead and get that in. That's pretty good. The Supreme Court of Georgia, and there is that good old Georgia seal. We've seen that multiple times if you follow my channel during YSL. All right, we're not going to read all 33 pages of this, but here is the Honorable Supreme Court met pursuant to adjournment. The following order was passed. These are the people that's State versus Roman, State versus Schaefer, State versus Chile and Meadows, and of course, Donald J., State versus Latham, Giuliani, Clark, and Floyd. The Supreme Court today denied the petition of Certuri. I know I butchered that up. Please be merciful to me, you all. In these cases, all the justices concur, except Ellington, McMillan, and Colvin, who dissent. Peterson, CJ not participating, and Land J Land disqualified. Supreme Court of the state of Georgia. I certified, of course, and this is the clerk that has signed that this was, of course, submitted. So let us go. Pension justice concurring in denial of Centurii. I'm going to probably get a lot of comments about how I butchered that. Centurii. That sounds right. I agree that the court's decision to deny these petitions for the Centurii, here's why. That is probably the best sentence I've ever read in reading all of these court cases. Here's why. Here's why. Usually it's something long and robust, right? It is say, look, I agree. Here's why. The court's power to review cases in the Court of Appeals has already reviewed. What we call review by Centurii is set by our state constitution. The Georgia Constitution grants our court the authority to review by, why are they killing your boy like this? Centurii, only cases in the Court of Appeals which are of gravity or great public importance. Georgia Constitution 1918, we already know that. This means that we generally do not grant Centurii review just because the Court of Appeals or the trial court may have gotten something wrong. That is for the mere error correction. Okay. And I'm going to skip over all of this political speak right there, but you see that I'm just blitzing through it. Please make sure that you the link for this is actually down in the description. So you're welcome to go over this. And if you can pronounce that word correctly and you want to tell me how to pronounce it correctly and write it out phonetically, you know what? I will not be mad at you. I will still be your friend, even though you embarrass me because I have no idea how to pronounce it. All right, let's keep it dancing. Nor do we typically grant review just because a case or its subject matter happens to have found its way into the public spotlight. Who wrote this, man? I love this person. Whoever wrote this, whoever wrote this, email me. You're my new best friend. Instead, our focus is assessing whether a case warrants the exercise of our Centurii jurisdiction. Is supposed to be its potential impact on the law of Georgia. To argue that impact, we ask whether the case presents a legal question of gravity or great importance to the public. Okay. All right. And I'm going to skip over all that right there. We typically assess whether a given legal question has sufficient gravity by asking, for example, whether the Court of Appeals has decided the question in a way that conflicts with our decision of the court, other decisions of the Court of Appeals, or this court. Answer the legal question by applying precedent of this court that should be reconsidered or decided an important question of state law that is likely to recur has not been, but should be settled by the court of Georgia. These non-exclusive examples reflect the aim of Centuriae review, ensuring that our court's interpretation of the law of Georgia is correct, settled, and ultimately uniform with respect to important legal issues that courts and litigants are likely to see in the future. They said, look, y'all not going to be suing presidents all the time. So like, don't even get into that habit. Okay. This is great. I like the way they wrote this though. Shout out to them. It is super long. I just looked up like this thing's 30 something pages, man. I'm not going over all that. I'm not going to do all that. But I do want to just point this out. But identifying a legal question of sufficient gravity is not enough on its own to warrant Centuriae review. That question must also be presented by the case when it arises at this court. Although our Constitution entrusts this court with the responsibility to settle important legal questions, we are still a court, and courts are not vehicles for engaging in merely academic debates or deciding purely theoretical questions. Okay. Thus, I don't see any squiggly lines in here. Thus, even if a party has identified a question of gravity in a given case before granting review, we still must ask whether the answering of that question of gravity is necessary in some way to resolving the case. If not, for example, if answering that question wouldn't matter to the outcome of the underlying case, or if the question was not even squarely presented to or decided by the courts below, then reaching out to decide that question anyway would exceed our limited judicial role. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tap a lawyer to ask them, do they want to go over this with me? Because I understand it, and I'm scared because I actually think I understand this. I'm like, wait, I think I understand what they're saying. And I'm a little bit scared, like, oh my gosh, either A, I'm wrong, or B, I might be actually learning something over here. What I'm getting is, what they're saying is, you can't just ask us to get this because you don't like the response from the lower courts. Do you have something? There's not something in your argument that they looked at that they just ignored, but rather they said that the impropriety, which is outside of your case, is the reason why. So you can't just say, well, you don't want to be disqualified, so I'm gonna go up to, can I see your manager? No, you can't. This is basically saying, no, you can't see the supervisor. Is basically what I'm understanding. I'm going to reach out to somebody right now because I'm worried. And I'm going to tell her, like, look, I'm worried because I think I understand this. But so long story short, y'all, Fani Willis has been taken off the case. It's going to be a dumpster fire. I don't perceive this going anywhere else. I don't think it's going to go anywhere else. The Georgia Court of Appeals, the Georgia Prosecutors Council, they're going to probably try to punt this to Athens. Athens is big enough. Cobb County is big enough, and they probably have the money to do it, but I doubt highly they're going to want to do it. That's just my little 2 cents. And some of these other small counties here in Georgia, Bibbs County, South Fulton, they're not going to want to do this, man. They just don't have the resources. And the amount of time it's going to take for Fani Willis's team to transition this over to another prosecutor, for them to understand it, them to dig through the weeds, them to do all of their due diligence. I mean, easily 3 years could pass. I could easily see multiple years going by because there's just going to be a lot of moving pieces. So I don't think this is going to go anywhere though, but let me know what y'all think for sure. I'm getting my email ready. This is crazy, man. All right. Shout out to everybody who jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I am real quick. I'm going to ask somebody, can they help me understand it? And then I'll let you all know when she hits me back, we can, we'll do a live stream with him. All right, there we go. But shout out to y'all. Thank you so much. If you're just jumping in, what are we talking about today, Jason? In my quick impromptu live stream, Fani Willis has been removed from the Georgia by the Georgia Supremes from the Trump election interference case. So now we're going to see what happens next. I honestly, again, I'm not a legal expert. I just can't see another county here in Georgia wanting to take this case up. It really did seem like a special kind of project for Fani. And now that Fani has been removed from it, I can't see somebody else saying, oh, we'll take up your pet project. We'll run with it. I just can't see that happening, but we will see. Indeed, we will see. I do want to say before I jump too far and real quick, thank y'all so much for everybody jumping in. JT2000, thank you so much for hopping in. There's my sister, Kiana. I love you. Thank you so very much for popping in. Willis says, Queen Fani. Absolutely. What's going on, sunshine? Good morning, all. What does Kathy say here? Kathy says here, I am new to this situation. Is Fani one of the good guys or one of the bad guys? Legalese makes my brain ache. All right, well, if you want to say Fani is the one, I'm not going to tell you if she's a good guy or a bad guy. I will just say Fani is the one who in 2023 brought Trump up on RICO charges here in Georgia, the infamous Trump mugshot. She was the one that's responsible for that. And sure, there was some shenanigans that happened here in Georgia and some things. So there was a lot of weird stuff that happened during that election on both sides and in the middle. So she was the one that brought up charges on Trump, but she had hired her boyfriend, who was married at the time, to run point on the case. And it just completely blew up in her face. And for the most part, the whole trial was derailed because she and Nathan Wade, her boyfriend, were having a relationship. She paid him a ton of money. They did lots of traveling. It was a mess. So I'm not saying she's a good guy or a bad guy, because I think she thought that she was going to do something right for justice, if you will. I'm just going to say there was just a lot of shenanigans and chicanery and tomfoolery that was going on here in Georgia. And that's it. So Q, was that a good summary, Q? What's going on, Caustic Chameleon? Good to see you. The happy dance is going on. Yeah. So that is it. So we're gonna see what happens here, but I'm gonna pretty much, I got the fork ready. I'm gonna stick a fork in that Trump case. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. I really don't. I don't think anybody here. I don't think anybody here in Georgia really wants this to go any further. And I'm not saying you do it only because of people's opinions, but I don't think in the grand scheme of things, most people's concerns are not this issue right here. Not even a little bit. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure most people in Georgia have forgotten about this. Let's just be honest. I think a lot of us forgot about this. And had I not, I have an alert to let me know if anything happens with certain things when I'm checking the traps. And that's the only reason I found out about this today, is because the alert, because I had kind of forgotten about it. So every day it updates me and I just kind of move on past. I don't even remember. I almost forgot what it was even about. So I'm going to go, if I forgot about it, and I've talked about Fani Willis quite a bit, and I did the YSL trial and I've looked at this, I'm pretty sure the average person has kind of forgotten about this case. So I'm going to go on a limb and say the Georgia, what is it called? The Georgia Prosecutor Council? The Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. I'm going to go on a limb and say they're going to probably put that thing, they're going to go ahead and take it behind the woodshed and put it out of its misery. Nobody's going to pick this up. Just my opinion. But I will, if I'm wrong, they bring Trump down here to Georgia for trial, I'm going to go down there for y'all. I'm going to go down there. I mean, that'll be what? At least 2028, 2029. Yeah, 2029. So, dang. Man, that's a while. So anyway, if they do, but I'm not putting 10 cents on that. That means that those resources are going to have to be held up for 4 years until his out. And his attorneys are going to be wreaking havoc on him. So that's going to be money that's going to be wasted from Bibbs County, from Athens County, from Cobb County, from wherever. Man, don't nobody want that. Nobody wants that. And this is actually another great point. Shout out to Kiana. Fani Willis actually has other issues, and the Georgia Senate has wanted to talk to her about how she spends money in her office. Fulton County is the largest county in Georgia, well, the second largest county in Georgia, and they spend a lot of money. And she's been spending a lot of money, and nobody knows where it's been going. And so, yeah, this is actually another issue that she has. And I think now that Trump is off of her plate, she can focus on why she has not answered the Georgia Senate, because they want to have a little conversation. They just want to have a little, come on over here for a little coffee, a little spot of tea. They want to talk to Fani. They want to have a little dialogue with Fani. And yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I don't know where that is in the food chain. Y'all hold on one hot second. Let me give y'all the be right back. All right, we're gonna have to have like a parent moment. I might have all the parents in the chat come on up here to the front of the church and tell me, what are y'all doing? Your kids are away at college, man. Mine calls me every single day. Every day she calls me, and she got something new, some new drama going on. So I don't know what to do, because the relationship has clearly changed from father to daughter to more like a mentor, or I don't know what my relationship is. Like, it seems like, Dad, I need your advice on this. And that's every day. Every day is something else. Every day is like, Dad, I need your advice. And some days it's like twice a day. Like yesterday was, what should I eat? I'm like, what are you talking about, you crazy bird? Eat food. What should I have for lunch today, Dad? And she was really serious. She wanted to talk to me about what could she eat? I'm like, girl, just eat food. We don't have a dietary restriction. Eat the food. Item A. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And since I indulge her, I think she just keeps harassing me every day. Yeah, we got to pray over. I pray over them all the time. But it just seems funny to me. Like the relationship has changed. She calls me Dad, of course, but she asks for advice all the time, which is kind of funny to me. Yeah, I'm a counselor, I think. I think it's like a coach or mentor, but something like that. Absolutely. I know it's not Centurii. That's what I do know. So here in Georgia, Fani Willis was kind of fighting against some subpoenas because the Georgia Senate wanted her to come in and talk about how she's been spending money. And she sent everybody but herself, right? She sent Rob Pitts, she sent the city council, all these other people, but they're like, well, we want to talk to Fani. We want Fani to come here. And Fani was fighting this, saying the Senate did not have the right to subpoena her to come in and talk. Well, now that the Trump case has been moved off her plate, I'm thinking that the next thing we're going to see is Fani in front of the Georgia Senate and having a little conversation. That's going to be crazy work. I can't believe we're there, because she's fought it for a good minute, probably since last summer even. So shout out there. What do you say, Caustic? Hey, be glad. When my kids went off to college, they never called back. Well, you know what? I think my mom probably would have said the same thing, because we didn't have phones like we do now. But I agree. I'm glad she calls. I was homesick my first semester in college. I got over it. I'm sad that eventually she's going to get over it. She's like, what, dad, who? I ain't talked to dad in like 2 days. I'll probably be real sad then. I'm your BFF. Well, there you go. There we go. Tell Fani what's going on, Miss Manny Reacts. Tell Fani good luck sticking money under those jailhouse mattresses. She'd be keeping the cash there. That's what the cash is. The cash is in the mattress. Band Shirt says, hey, DWC and chat. Who's DWC? You mean the J-Wig podcast? I'll let you. You're old school. I'll let you have it. The smartest people I've known or read about ask for advice. Well, there you go. So you're saying that my daughter's smart. I like how you did that. She's a pretty smart kid, though. Where is Thug's watch? We need to go back and do a whole recap, the lore of Young Thug's watch. Like just a lore. You know what, Q? I'm putting you on that. Q, I need you to get me all the details about Young Thug's watch, and we will make a video. We'll do a live stream about Young Thug's watch. And if you all don't know, during the Young Thug trial here, the YSL trial here in Georgia, again, I know you can't believe this, right? There was a lot of shenanigans that happened during the YSL trial. And one of the biggest, most gross pieces of shenanigans and chicanery is that there was asset forfeiture, which basically means if the police take this and you have so many days, they arrest somebody and they take something of theirs that has value, you have so many days to request that it be given back. Otherwise, the police can sell it and use that money to fund things in the police. Well, I mean, that's the skinny of it. Well, when they raided Young Thug's house, of course, he's a rapper. There's a lot of rapper stuff, jewelry and money, guns, cars, all that kind of stuff like that. Well, there's this infamous watch, and I forgot what it's called. It's a watch. It's a big old gaudy watch. It looks, it was definitely not my jam at all. It would be like, it was huge. It's like a giant watch. It looked like that. It was just insane. What was the name of it? Q. Well, needless to say, he had 2 of them, and we watched the body cam of the police doing the inventory. There were 2 watches there. They turn around, and then the watch is gone. There it is, Richard Mill, and it was this big, gaudy. It was just big for no reason. Like you can't even tell time with the thing. It's so big. Like you could tell time from space, but you didn't know what you were looking at. It was humongous. Well, the rumor was that, one of the police officers took it home, if you will. They stole it. That's basically what we're arguing. And this has been a lore for so long. They even had a case more recently about the asset forfeiture that Fani had to give back all the assets that they confiscated, and they still can't find this infamous watch. So I don't know much about it. I'm not a watch guy by any means or measure. So but anyway, so if you ever want, maybe one day Q is going to be on it. Q is going to put together the whole story. Richard Millie. Not sure about the spelling, but he's got it from Drake. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that sounds right. Why is there still even a RICO case against President Trump in Georgia? It's been so compromised because of Fani should have dropped it by now. Well, Fani was not going to drop it. Fani was, for lack of a better term, Fani was hell-bent on this case going. She even said she was going to bring it back up when he got out of office. And shout out to you, Eric Smith. But Georgia Supreme said, nah, you off the case. So Fani's off the case. Love is off the case. Hilton's off the case. The whole Fulton County DA's office is off the case. And it gets punted, just in case you were wondering, to the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. And they are going to decide who can take the case and who would take the case after this. So that being the case, how many times I said the word case, right? I sound like Umar Johnson. That being what's going on, I don't think, just, knowing what I've learned about this case, this thing was really expensive. It was really expensive. And I can't see any other DA's office, and I could be wrong now, really wanting to take this on, because it's going to be a Herculean task. It's going to be a very pricey case. And I just can't see anybody else wanting to do it. Young Thug made the Coachella lineup. Really? That was not a watch. That was a big clock. So I don't think, personally, I will be watching to see, and I'm going to set up a new alert. I would love to hear what the prosecuting Council of Attorneys of Georgia, whatever, decides to do. I would love to hear them say what they're gonna do in this, because it's just, I don't see how anybody would want to do it. I mean, the amount of resources it's going to take is going to be Herculean. When you think about how long, for example, this whole case between the Macrones and Candace Owens, that's not even that's not even like a salacial case. It's just a civil trial, right? That thing is estimated to take 3 years, if not more. Easily 3 years. That's one woman being sued by one entity. Now imagine 18 entities being sued by Fulton County or Cobb County or Bibbs County, Athens County, fill in the blank. These people's grandkids will be able to vote by the time that trial is over with. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, I just don't see it happening. And one more reason why I don't think it would happen is because the Atlanta cheating scandal, which, by the way, Fani Willis was an ADA on the Atlanta cheating scandal. And that was the first RICO trial that was for drug gang criminal elements. It was like the weirdest thing here in Georgia. They're still dealing with the Atlanta cheating scandal, and that was almost 13 years ago. I mean, the kids that were caught up in the cheating scandal have been working for 10 years by now. I mean, that's how long it's been. And so I just don't think anybody would want to deal with this, in my opinion. I don't think anybody would want to deal with this, in my humble opinion, but we'll see. I will definitely keep y'all posted. What is going on? Is that the messy one? Thank you so much. Y'all, Messy Michonne is in the building. Dropping your boy a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. And she is a beautiful content creator. If you ever want a good laugh, please go check out what Messy Michonne is doing over there. Fantastic work. I don't know what you have planned today, but I'm sure it's going to be something great. So y'all go check out what she's doing over there. Make sure that her link is dropped in the chat. You can drop your link in the chat, by the way, Michonne, if it's not already there. I'm just looking right here. Well, thank you again. Looking over it, yeah, I don't see how this is going to go. So anyway, if you're jumping in, we were just talking about the Georgia Supremes have declined Fani Willis's appeal. So she was kicked off the trial by the lower court. The upper court said, hey, don't drag us up in here. Don't be bringing our names up in this clowner and this shenanigans. And they said, no, sir, no, ma'am, you got to go. You and your whole team got to go. I did leave the motion in the chat as well, in the description, if you want to go back and read this. And if you feel so inclined, they use this word Saturi. I don't know how to pronounce that. Feel free to write how to phonetically spell that. Let your boy know how to spell it. How to pronounce it, because I have no clue. But it's all throughout this thing. I was like, man, why y'all keep saying this? I don't know what I'm saying. I did reach out to an attorney to ask if she would want to come on and talk about this, maybe tonight or tomorrow. As soon as I hear back from her, I'll make sure you all know, because I think it's right to have First of all, we need somebody here to pronounce this word correctly. But then also, I want y'all to get some good insight on, because it's a really interesting document, but it's just long. Like, great day. What? Who hurt you? Why is it so long? What's wrong with y'all people, man? And they just explain why they're not going to deal with this. And I kind of understand it, hence why I said I'm kind of worried, because I feel like, wait, I think I understand what they're saying. And, that's scary when you can understand what court people say. Oh, gosh. Oh, y'all. Straight. Okay. Y'all come on up here to the front of the church, y'all. MT, thank you so much for the $5 super. I'm super conflicted by this. I'm going to be honest with you. What does MT say? It says, can you please cover Candace's Charlie Kirk investigation? Would love to hear your take. I got up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus, y'all. I did. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus, stayed on the Lord. Had my devotion, read my scripts, prayed. And then I said, let me check the traps. I checked the traps and I saw some of the clips from Candace's. I don't know where y'all land with the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Let me start this way. You might not like Charlie Kirk. You might think Charlie Kirk is the next best thing to sliced bread. That's not the argument that I'm making at all. I do not relish in the fact of watching somebody be deleted in real time. Like that was gruesome. Like what we saw was, that was bothersome. And to hear his wife, to realize he's got little kids. I got grown women, one in college, one in high school, late high school. But these are little people. Like, man, that was painful to watch. But I would be pained to watch if that was somebody that I disagreed with ideologically. I don't want to watch that. And that was just too much. And it only goes to show how evil and wicked and vile we are. We are evil. What we saw, I don't care who did it. We are evil to do that over somebody speaking. Because I don't think many people have really conceptualized. Charlie Kirk went out there running over folk. He went out there. Now, whether or not you did agree with what he said, that's beside the point. He was just talking. I'm still from the generation, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Now we in a whole deal. Sticks and stones may break my bones. You say something I don't like, I will delete you. That's a whole nother game. I don't know. That's a whole different ballpark. So I try to be respectful to Charlie Kirk. If this had been somebody that I disagree with ideologically, I would be probably the exact same. If somebody I disagreed with experienced a deletion like that, I would be respectful to him or her, because that was just too much. That was a lap too far. Now, I've said this before, and my name is Jason, and I have no problem saying now I've gotten that was a preamble. I think Candace Owens now, I no longer believe that she's trying to be balanced. In my video, I said where she gives a Christless conservatism. One of the points that I mentioned is that Candace Owens has Dunning-Kruger effect in hyperdrive. Dunning-Kruger effect is the idea that once you learn a little bit and you feel like you're an expert on it and you start teaching that little bit and you don't really know what you're talking about, but you just learned a little bit and you feel like, oh, and look, I admit, hey, I don't know what all this stuff means in this right here. Centurii, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I admit it. But if I were over here acting like I was going to teach a pre-law class or a first-year law class because I had read this document, that would be Dunning-Kruger effect on steroids. Candace Owens, there's no way in the world you can convince me that that woman has done any research. And again, she attests that this man was her friend. So she watched the same video that I watched he wasn't my friend. I don't know much about Charlie Kirk before Wednesday. She watched her friend that she said was dear to her get deleted like that. And even before she did her video, she mentioned that another, her resident whipping boys had done it. She said that on Thursday. Before she dropped her video talking about how deep she loved Charlie, she had already alluded that another state, the state that she loves to call out, had done that. She did it on Thursday. But I digress. I don't know to me, there's no way you're going to get me to believe that Candace Owens has done any investigation. I love that you said investigation in air quotes. And maybe I will do it. Maybe I will. But to me, it's a disservice to the memory of Charlie Kirk, whether or not they were thick as thieves or not, to literally, he hasn't been dead for a week yet. To now be going out here, putting out content, theorizing and summarizing who it is that did it. Candace Owens is doing she is team the most, the absolute most. Nobody needed her to say that. And to think that what she's doing and what's that doing to the wife, to the family, to other friends, to be out here theorizing and hypothesizing that somebody else was responsible for deleting him, that to me is gross. If that were my friend, I would be sitting with his wife and kids, probably crying every day. I have friends that if that had been them, y'all wouldn't see me. Y'all be like, what happened to Jason? I would be in a corner somewhere. And she made the case that they were really thick as thieves. Why are you not there with his wife and kids? Just crying with them. But you have the audacity to bring yourself on here and start theorizing, hypothesizing your investigation of who deleted that man. And then you wonder why people say that Candace is a grifter. Because there's no way you can convince me that you did any research between Wednesday and yesterday. So in 4.5 days, you were able to come up with all of this. You were able to figure out who it was and all of that in less than 96 hours. Okay. No, so I might have to talk about it. I might have to. Okay, wait. Oh, hold on. Okay. So thank you again, MT. Because I think it's gross. One of the reasons I don't want to talk about it is I feel like it's gross to be out here theorizing that the person that deleted my friend, she said her brother, her very good friend, was just so happened to be the nation state that you love whipping on left and right and center. That's too much. I'm sorry. That's some gross, that's some nasty work. And again, maybe it is. Maybe there's a big old cabal and it's such of that nature, but man. And then to call into question his faith and whether or not he was having questions about his faith. Ma'am? Wait, okay. Sir Shai Ori. I like Centurion. Y'all are not playing with me. Girl, what is that? Is that in tongues? Now, come on now. Look, I ain't reading in tongues today, Q. What in the world is that? Shame on you. We don't speak in tongues without an interpreter. I had to look it up too. The higher court has to review a lower court decision. Right. And by the way, I started out talking about Fani Willis being kicked off of the Trump RICO trial. And I did leave the links down in the description to Politico as well as the motion for her to be removed. I'm waiting for a attorney to get back to me about whether or not they would like to talk about this. Oh, man. All right. Shout out to, who is this? Chris Cobb. Somebody just sent me an email. I literally just talked about this yesterday. And let me pull this in real quick. I'm sorry. All right. Shout out to you, Chris. Thank you so much. Chris just sent me I'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a hot second. Thank you so much, by the way. Erica says this. We're witnessing a reprobate mind. Wouldn't wish that on my worst. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And not to see it, my gosh, in the morning. That was a different level of stuff right there. And then for me to wrap my mind around, let me jump on this here podcast mic. Let me jump right up in here in front of this camera and start theorizing and hypothesizing my investigation about what happened. Candace, I'm sorry. That's just too much. It's just too much. Okay, so somebody just shot me an email. I don't know if he's in the chat, but I think it's a great question. And I talked about this last night on stream with Rick Caldwell as well as Monique from the Center for Biblical Unity. And we were talking about this ridiculous, I'm not going to call it a sermon, because I honor the role of what pastors do too much to call this a sermon. This wasn't a sermon. This was a baptized CNN review. It literally was him exegeting everything that's on your Yahoo News or your Apple News. That's all he was doing. And whatever, I forgot his name, John Wesley, Howard John Wesley. And let me just read the title. How You Die Does Not Redeem How You Live. Pastor's sermon goes viral on comments on Charlie Kirk's death. And again, that wasn't a sermon. It was not a sermon. That was a baptized CNN article. That's all there was. An Alexandria pastor, and I don't even want to call him a pastor, viral speech challenges views of Charlie Kirk's death, igniting conversation. No, that wasn't meant to ignite conversation. That was just egregious. That was just gross, man. What he said is out of control. Do I want to play it? I don't even want to. I'm going to do it. Green hearts in the chat when y'all can hear. Because I want y'all to hear it, and I'll comment on it for sure.
DC Health is committed to a future free of HIV and AIDS. We've made significant strides with new HIV.
I think I even downloaded.
Reducing
think about it. I might even have a copy of this.
Fewer than 21 each year.
And a lot of people are still talking about an Alexandria pastor's Sunday sermon. The message to his congregation about the nation's response to Charlie Kirk's death has gone viral. Tonight, our Katie Lusso is in Alexandria with more on what he said and how people are responding.
His opinion now going viral, but it was not easy to get people to weigh in with their opinion on this now viral video.
I am overwhelmed.
Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley is the senior pastor at Alfred Street Baptist Church in Alexandria.
And I do not celebrate the killing of anyone.
Video of his Sunday sermon now going viral.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated.
Specifically, the part where he references conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
Hearing people with selective rage who are mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband.
He did not hold back.
Tell me I ought to have compassion.
The clip posted to social media ending like this.
How you die does not redeem how you lived.
Monday night, an Alexandria police officer was outside the church and told us an officer is always there. A few blocks away in Old Town, while most people we approached were hesitant to share their opinion out of fear of the consequences, others.
I thought it was powerful, honestly.
Yeah, he was really feeling a certain way. He has every right to feel what he feels.
No one deserves to die in that way.
Evan says it's a complicated topic, though.
Charlie Kirk said a lot of inflammatory things, and he said a lot of things that are people disagree with, and understandably. But again, I think at the core, the message also is that political violence like that is never okay, regardless of whether you agree or not.
Whether you agree or disagree, those we spoke with said you should have the right to share your opinion.
As adults, you should be able to share an opinion. I mean, you have a right. They have a right. You have a right.
There are plenty of people, Charlie Kirk included, who I don't agree with and didn't agree with. But that doesn't mean that they deserve to be silenced.
And tonight there is an Alexandria police officer here at the church. They have been inundated with messages and comments on that video. I reached out to both the church and the Reverend, but have not heard back yet. In Alexandria, I'm Katie Lasso, WUSA 9.
All right, shout out. That was somebody just literally emailed that to me, asked me. And I said, you know what? I'm feeling kind of snarky. Today. I'll talk about it. And I've said this before. If you follow my channel, you know that I am a deacon in my church, and I hold at great regard what happens in the pulpit. What happens in the pulpit is very important to me. And I go as far as to say pastors really should steer away from social commentary, because every Sunday, the church congregation, the gathered people gather to hear what thus saith the Lord from the pulpit. The pastor's responsibility is to be the mouthpiece of what thus saith the Lord. So I should be hearing what thus saith the Lord, or what comes from the scriptures. What is in the book? Give us the word. And anything less than that diminishes, one, what God's word says, but then also elevates social commentary. And we see this all the time. There's some that really do a great job. There's some that do a horrible job. But I don't believe that social commentary belongs in the sacred box. Now, if you want to do social commentary during Sunday school, out in the parking lot, during fellowship time, knock yourself out. However, in that sacred box behind the pulpit, that is not where that's supposed to take place. And my pastor did not talk about Charlie Kirk. During the pastoral prayer, they did pray about that situation. But during the sermon, you did not get anything about Charlie Kirk. But I don't get many things. You would be hard pressed to know if I dropped a sermon from my church and I said, you would be hard pressed to know when it was, because there's no timestamps. They don't give you, oh, this happened, the election ended, this and this happened. None of that stuff. It's just what thus said the Lord. And if I drop a sermon, you would not know when it happened. If I drop this past Sunday sermon, you wouldn't know if it was from this summer, maybe even from 2 years ago. You would probably know if you're following along and know what sermon, what text he's preaching from. You can say, oh, I know what weekend this was. But my point is simply this. There's no place for that. It does, in fact, isolate quite a few. My church doesn't talk about politics either. So I've made the joke that if Biden had come to my church, he would be welcome in my church. Biden would absolutely have been welcome at my church to sit his butt down in that pew and hear what thus saith the Lord. Trump would be welcome to come to our church. Sit yourself down and hear what thus saith the Lord. Kamala, you can sit there. JD, y'all go sit down. You're not going to sit. They will not step into that booth. They won't get any kind of accolades. Nobody going to say, hey, we got a special guest. Come on up here. Nope, none of that. Because it's not the place for them. And there are people in my church that probably voted for Kamala. There's people in my church I know that voted for Trump. And they're not going to be any way isolated or any way set apart, because the point of them coming is to hear what thus saith the Lord. So going back to Wesley over here, he completely isolates his church. I mean, There's no reason for that. What if you went to his church? Let's just say you're a Republican, or you're a conservative, or you're somebody that leans right, and you go to this church and you hear him deriding Charlie Kirk. You're like, man, wait, wasn't it just a human that died for his words? And you're sitting there listening to that. What are you supposed to take from that? Now let's go another way. Let me say another way. What if you went to a church and they were over there worshiping Charlie Kirk? Exact same thing. Like, wait, hold on. Wasn't he just a man? What about Christ? Because mind you, I watched the whole sermon of Wesley over here. There was no Christ preached. There was no what thus saith the Lord. You just got baptized Rachel Maddow. You just got spiritualized The View. That's all you got. You didn't hear what thus saith the Lord. So really, truly, you didn't need to get your butt up out of bed to go to church on Sunday at John Wesley's church, because you could have stayed in the bed and watched CNN and saved yourself some gas and saved 10%. I'm just saying. I'm just here to pick fights. So to answer your question, and I've said this before, and I'm going to stick on this one. These are my words. Church is off limits to politics. And that's all of it. Even if your church, we've had people want to rent out our church to do events that were political. I'm a deacon at my church, so I sign checks. And we also sign requests to use our church, like for weddings and funerals and stuff of that nature. We've had people that weren't members of our church that were funeralized at our church because we thought it was the right thing to do to help them out or be a blessing to them. And there's some people who've come to our church because of the things that we've done like that. But we've also had people want to use our church for political rallies. And sitting there at the table with all of the diaconate, with all of my brothers, I'm like, we all probably agree with this person politically. Yeah, we probably all agree with them. No, you cannot use our church. You can't. You can't use our fellowship hall. You can't use our soccer field. You certainly can't use our sanctuary. And we still agree with you politically and ideologically as it relates to that. The church is off limits to that. So no. And I feel like we are consistent. I know I've heard of people that we disagree with ideologically asking in times past. But I know for a fact, people have asked most recently, since I've been on the diaconate, that we agree with ideologically. And we've both said no in both cases. The church is off limits to that. Everybody should feel like I can come to this church, whether I agree with this political stance or I disagree with this political stance, because I am a called out one to hear what thus saith the Lord, not what thus saith Washington, D.C., or what says the Gold Dome or whatever that nature. No, absolutely not. So whatever his name is, he got like 15 first names, John Wesley Howard or Dingbat up there in Virginia. He was wrong. Everything he said was wrong. And by the way, Jamal Bryant, he was just as wrong as Today is Tuesday as well. But hey, anybody else out there worshiping Charlie Kirk and elevating him? No, he was just a dude. God used him for his glory and saw fit that he passed away. We don't venerate him. We just say, hey, God used him. God bless him. God uses sinners. And that's it. So I hope that really made some people, gave some context to where I stand about that. We can duke it out about politics. But once we get to 3130, we are brothers. We are brothers and sisters in Christ. We are worshiping the true and the living God. We are hearing what thus saith the Lord. And then we can go back in the parking lot and fight. I'm not going to fight with y'all about politics. Y'all know I ain't going to fight about politics. But hopefully that made sense. So, yeah, those people you didn't even have to get out of bed to hear that foolishness, that man. And the bad thing is the newscast didn't give you the full breadth of just the pure, utter insanity that he was saying because it was crazy. It was insane what he was saying. And and this is my last point. This is how you know that these people are disingenuous. The last thing he said was, how you die does not redeem how you lived. Okay, no problem. Did he say that about George Floyd, though? Because George Floyd was a scoundrel. And how he died, whether you agree with how he died or what was the result of how he died, that's beside the point. They made George Floyd a saint because of how he died, even though how he lived was, shall we say, left some things to be desired. Do you say that about other people? I'm just wondering, because otherwise, and hey, then they can venerate Charlie Kirk, because y'all venerated George Floyd. Y'all lifted him up. Y'all lifted up tons of people during the summer of love. Y'all did a lot during the summer of love that's coming back to roost, and now y'all upset about it. My name is Jason Deerwoksy@gmail.com. What are my good people saying? There goes my sister Amethyst is in the building. What did she say? Joe Fouch brought the word and God spoke to us in real time, in his time. Amen. Thank you so much. I should qualify with not necessarily steer away from it. Oh, wait, here you go. I don't think that they should steer away from that. I think it should be biblically commentary, though. This is my stance. If, for example, there's a passage that says that all authority comes from God. Let me get the actual passage. Yeah, it's Romans 13:1. There we go. Okay, let me bring this in. Let's just say, for laughs and giggles, that I am preaching through the book of Romans. And just somehow or another, by just pure God's providence, Romans 13, and I'm going through verse upon verse. And let's just say, for laughs and giggles, that this passage came up this past Sunday. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear of one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is a servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoers. I'm just going to stop right there. But you see that there's more right there, of course. And let's just say, for laughs and giggles, that this passage came up this Sunday. I think it's fair to say, if you wanted to add a comment about respecting authority, being responsible as citizens to the governing body, I don't think that's a lap too far to add that commentary. I don't think there's any problem there. And I would probably almost, dare I say, even expect you to say it. If this is during the summer of love and people are out rioting and doing all this kind of shenanigans, this would probably fall right in line with addressing that and adding a commentary about it. Just a quick little summary about, hey, people out protesting and blocking up roads and doing all this, that, and the third, and they are violating this scripture, this admonishment from Paul to the church at Rome. I don't see any problem with that. I would say, amen, great job. However, let's just say that out of the blue, well, I would just ask the question, like, what was John Wesley Howard? What was the text that he was preaching? I don't even know. And I watched the thing. I have no idea what he was talking about. There was no passage, no scripture that was ever entered the chat. So therein is the problem. If this is what's going on and it lines up with what you're talking about, then absolutely make the commentary. But if the commentary overshadows the scripture, then therein is the rub. All right, that's my little 2 cents there. Again, my name is Jason. I'm here to pick a fight this early in the morning. Thank you so much, Amethyst. I appreciate it. Project Band shirt. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, friend. Make Rachel mad cow in the spew. You're wild. Yes, set boundaries. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you again. But they have canonized him and they have lied about how he died. Oh, you're talking about George Floyd? That's what I'm saying. Like, following Wesley's interpretation, because I know Wesley was out here weeping and wailing for George Floyd. So however he died clearly redeemed how he lived. So then that same thing, that's the inconsistency. And truly, that's why I don't think you should be doing social commentary anyway, because you say stuff like that contradicts something else that you did. And because it's not rooted in reality, it's not rooted in truth, he literally said something that contradicted what he was doing back in 2020 and 2021. So maybe you shouldn't do it at all. Maybe you should say a man died and we should pray for his family and keep it moving. There you go. And then you can go in Sunday school or during fellowship hour and you can rant and rave till the cows come home. But see, what does Adrian say? My brother, you're a breath of fresh. Oh, sorry about that. My brother, you are fresh. You're saying a breath of fresh air on YouTube. Your dialect is beyond perfection. Education shines. Thank you for grown folks conversation. Well, thank you so much, Adrian. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Wait, what did you say here? Thanks for the compliment. It's even Q. You can get some too, Q. You can have some as well. Thank you so much. My pastor mentioned the recent events in the context of the state of his fallen world. No veneration of Charlie Kirk as a man, no buzzwords like martyr, assassination, or comparison to Stephen, no opinion. There you go. That's all I'm saying. Like, you can still talk about it. It's just not making it a thing. And again, if I played the pastoral prayer and you didn't know that Charlie Kirk had passed away, you probably wouldn't even have known what he was talking about. If I play my pastor's pastoral prayer or his sermon, you would be like, oh, this is from like May, right? Or is this like from last year? There's no context at all. And they do that all the time. They didn't make any reference when Trump won, anything. I want to say he might have said something when what happened when Trump was shot in Butler. I believe he might have said something in passing, but you know what you're more prone to hear? Them talk about safety of our schools. They pray for the safety of our schools all the time. Now, does that mean that you might not hear them say that, there was a school event, because there was a school event the same day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. There was a school event in Colorado. We mentioned that school event in school safety when he's praying about school safety, because we all got kids that are in private schools or public school and such like that. But again, it doesn't have to be a thing, though. Let me tell you, body cams are, I don't know how they did it without body cams, Willis. Body cams come in clutch now. Yeah, keep your sword in your closet. This is unentered. It's dinged to enter. ATL. Well, hey, whenever you are welcome to come on down. We will take you at Smyrna Press in a hot minute. We'll gladly, and I'll take you to lunch afterwards. Is body cams? Let me start my sentence again. They had body cams before BLM, though, right? I know they are definitely now everywhere, but I thought they had body cams before. Or maybe it's just like now it's like standard operating. You get a vest, you get a pew-pew, you get a taser, you get a body cam. Because I've, like I told y'all this story the other day about the young lady I saw got hit on the motorcycle, and I was standing there talking to her. Everybody came, even the firefighters had body cams. So maybe if that's what you're saying, yeah, they're ubiquitous now. Okay. Yeah, because everybody had a body cam. Now, whether they were on, I don't know. I still want to, I wonder, do they have that? How do I find out if they had a body cam? If it's on, can I see it? Me standing out there trying to help that lady. Smyrna Presbyterian. Amethyst. Is this my buddy? Y'all, come on. We got G220 Ministries. What's going on, my friend? Ricky Gans. This is a fantastic content creator. I don't like to just shout out content creators just because today is Tuesday, but this guy right here is a blessing to my life. I love watching his content. Ricky Gans likes to get out there. And in my opinion, this is what Charlie Kirk does. Ricky Gans gets out there and street preaches. And I've seen him engage with people that disagree with him, being charitable, being amicable. This is what we don't want to lose in this post Charlie Kirk world. The ability, shout out to, man, get up in here, man. The ability, Ricky Gans, to get out there and share the gospel and talk about the application with persons and answer their questions. This is what we need to have. This is what we don't want to lose. When we say we want to conserve, this is what we want to conserve. That being willing to have amicable disagreements, charitable disagreements, without losing our humanity and without going to where that guy went with Charlie Kirk. That's what we want. Shout out to Ricky Gans, man. Great guy. And thank you so much, Q. Thank you so much for the moderators. Y'all go check out what he does there. Even if you're not a Christian, you want to see, this is what you want to see. A Christian who believes what he believes, standing on what he believes, but willing to listen and willing to engage without being crazy. Ricky don't be coming off the top rope and threatening people and want to beat them up or anything like that. He's a charitable guy, and people have been uncharitable to him. I've watched many of his videos where people have been very uncharitable to him, but he stayed in frame. He kept his composure and he stood on what he was about. So yeah, check him out for sure. If you want to see, because this is what I keep bringing up to people. This is what we want to continue. This is what we want to preserve. This is what we don't want to lose. The ability to meet in the square and in the public square, meet in the public square and kind of shoot it out. Oh, that's a bad. Duke it out in the public square. And Ricky Gans does a fantastic job. There's a couple other great content creators that get out there and do that open air preaching, answer questions of persons, college campuses and out in the downtown areas. Fantastic work. I commend him to you. Thank you again, Q, for putting his link in the chat. Because this is what we don't want to lose. I just keep saying that because I fear that we might lose. This is what people want us to lose. They don't want us to be able to have charitable conversations with persons that we disagree with and allow the facts and allow the evidence and allow the points in the debate to maybe sway somebody's approval or sway somebody's opinion. So shout out to Ricky Gans. Thank you so much for following through. My brother, Ricky Gans. Always love you too, man. Really like what you're doing, man. And I think in light of where we are, Ricky Gans and G220 Ministries is something that you want to put your eyes on and kind of see. Like, this is what we're talking about. Do you compromise your views? No. Do you waffle and kind of, try to augment it? No. But you answer questions and help that person see what it is that he or she is missing, and ultimately point them to Christ. Shout out to Ricky Gans in the building. Shout out. But y'all, I don't even remember where we started. Where did we start today? Oh, we were looking at Fani Willis. How did we go from Fani to this? I don't know, but we're here nonetheless. So if you're just jumping in, thank you so much for jumping into the best live chat on the internet. Let me just show you real quick. We were talking about Fani Willis and the whole Georgia RICO trial against Trump. The Georgia Supreme Court has declined to hear her case. So effectively, they've removed Fani Willis from the Trump RICO trial. and her whole office. So it's going to go to the, whatever it's called. I keep looking it up because I keep forgetting what it's called. It's called the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia. They're going to decide how this trial moves forward. Is another county going to take over? Is another district attorney going to take it? I don't know if they will, in my opinion. I'll just say it again. I don't think anybody else really wants this here in Georgia, but that's just me. I'm not a prosecuting attorney council member, but I will definitely be looking. And as soon as I find out otherwise, I will let you know. They'll probably end up, what I think will probably happen is one of the DAs will take it and then just dismiss it all. I mean, there's 18 people and everybody's tied together. There's 18 people still in it. It's going to be a money burn like you've never seen before. So I just can't see it going any further than that, in my opinion. But I did reach out to an attorney to ask if she would want to come on tonight or tomorrow to talk about it. So as soon as I have that information, I'm going to come back on and let y'all know. We can have her come on and answer questions, of course, kind of like when we had the heavy metal lawyer come on and answer questions. So thank you so much, Q. I appreciate you. You'll become a member of the channel. Absolutely. And thank you for liking the video. I appreciate that as well. But y'all, thank you again. This was a lot of fun. I just wanted to jump on and talk about this. I thought it was super interesting because we've been wanting to know what's going on because it's been hanging out there since when? Last year? Like, I think it's before the election. I want to say it's been since before it's been hanging out there forever. Nothing's been moving on this RICO trial. So now we have at least some movement. We know that Fani and her team have been removed from it, and we'll see what goes on. I just can't see it going anywhere else. I think it's just nobody wants to admit it's over, in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. Because, hey, maybe they'll pick it up. I live right down the street from Cobb County Justice Center. I drive by there every single day. I will gladly go. You got Trump bringing Trump up in the Justice Center. I'm there every day. That would be crazy. That would be so crazy. I don't think it would happen, though. I think the DA here in Cobb County is a Democrat. I do think the DA is a Democrat. I just don't think the overwhelming majority of my county would even want this. They wouldn't want to touch us with a 30-foot pole. Forget a 10-foot. They wouldn't want to touch us with a mile pole. Get that out of here. So who's alleged? Nathan's other boo is a is a DA in Cobb County. I'm sure she will be willing to waste your money too. It would be such a horrible look for her. I just can't see it happening. But what I don't know, let me say this. I don't know how they go about selecting. Like, what is the look it up again, Jason. Prosecuting Attorney Council of Georgia. So the PAC-G, what is the process that they go about to get this case to somebody else? Is it like pulling straws? Is it whoever wants it? Like, how do they go about it? That's what I need to find out. So I will be looking to find it out before I come back with, hopefully she'll let me know soon. I've not gotten an email back. No, not yet. But as soon as I know something, y'all will know. Thank you so much. That's an interesting question. I don't know what they can do with the seizure money, though. That is a good question because they did forfeit. They did take. I think they illegally took those funds. I don't know how that works. So we got to find it out. So I'll be doing some research into that for sure. But thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Thank you for the very kind supers, everybody. Thank you so much to Messy Michonne. Thank you so much for the sticker. Thank you so much, MT, for the $5 super, as well as Erica. Thank you for the gracious and very kind $5. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Thank y'all for asking these great questions. I'm going to like I said, as soon as I hear back from her, I might actually when I get off, I might just call and say, hey, did you check my email? And see if I can get her on to talk about what are the ins and outs of this case and see if we can get some more insight. So that's it. Y'all, thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support of the channel. Thank you for liking the videos, helping your boy out. I'm trying to hit 40,000 likes this month, and we're chugging along. We're getting there. I think we're about like 15,000 likes. So go through and like some videos, help a brother out. Thank you so much for tapping in. And I will probably go ahead and look and watch that whole video last night, Candace Owens podcast about Charlie Kirk and her investigation. I'm using that term very loosely. So anyway, the new prosecutor decides how to handle the case. But how do they get it, though? The council appoints another prosecutor. So they could just appoint a prosecutor out in Athens or Bibbs County or Clark County. And then that prosecutor say, you know what? Yeah, about this. Yeah, I'm going to let this go. Okay. I like that. I mean, it makes sense. That's what I would probably think anyway. So thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the day. Look for the thumbnail. As soon as I hear back, I'll let you all know if I'll be coming back this evening and go over the fullness of this case. So until next time, everybody, have a great, blessed rest of the day. Grace and peace. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Witt Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.